So I've always found it kind of boring to have someone show you the map they made, like to be like, "Oh, look, and over here there's this, and over here there's that." Especially if you're not planning to actually play that map or that game or that world, etc. So instead, something way more interesting. I'm going to show you how I got to the tools I used to display the map. It's actually more interesting than it sounds. So over here, we've got the very first iteration I had. Basically, I made this map over on Inkarnate, and it turned out pretty nice. And it's very high resolution. And I exported it super high res and whipped something up with a tiny bit of help from GPT that gives me a neat little tool where I can go around and zoom into all the different little spots, and you can see all the text on here. And the interesting thing that I massaged out of it is this little export points thing. So it lets you download all these different spots. You can even right click and say, new point is going to be the gas station of Neverwinter. And this is going to be brown, of course. It's an HTML color, and large brown gas station. It's a really simple page. Basically, just some CSS, a little script that makes a canvas and shows a picture on it, and then you can drag around. Here's some meat and potatoes here of some actual content. You've got pixel positions for these different locations. So I went kind of crazy with it after I built this, and I added a whole bunch of different little points of interest. The problem is that this is impossible to load. Like, I'm on a gigabit internet connection, and loading it in real time takes that long. It's 25 megs. So that's just silly. So next step, found this GDAL. It's a tool for building interactive web pages, it's a tool for turning very large image files and maps into chunked up pieces of map. This was actually after I tried to make my own chunked up version where you could navigate through, and it turned out kind of neat, but it was like super old school, and like it just wasn't great. So I downloaded this, I ran it, and I created my map, and then it has a tool featured with it to create the HTML web page. And here we go, an actual Google Maps style, interactive, and still scalable and zoomable, just to the same exact high resolution. But you notice it loads tiles as they're needed. It doesn't load everything first. So with this, it was pretty easy. But the problem was now my waypoints weren't great. So, oh look, but wait, there they all are. And they look pretty darn nice, don't they? Well, because once again, I threw them into ChatGPT and had them reconvert it for this new format. And it turned out great. So now I was able to give my players something they can look at that's not in Roll20, it's not in Foundry. They don't have to have a really good computer running, but they could pretty easily zoom in and be like, hey, I wonder what this is over at 3347 negative 4663, which sounds wonky, but who cares? And then I could be like, that's clearly where Davin lived, right? Oh yeah, Davin. We stopped by when yeah. Um, Actually, like for instance, right here, I should have a point for the Hall of Sound. Anyway, so yeah, from a little project kind of made on my own with a neat little tool for exporting these points, and then you can actually open them up in your. It's a JSON file. You could just copy and paste. All the way up to GDAL and then this fancy map tool. So anyway, just one other little side fun project you could do to screw with a map or make it, a little bit more interactive. Here's the one I made for the Sword Coast, which I used a really popular map someone has compiled with all the different locations. I left off the names of locations that were added, but I also added a couple things of my own here. But yeah, so then you could even, really focus in on a part of the Sword Coast with this and try to figure out what's in that area. It would be fun to AI enhance every tile of this to try to get it like a little bit clearer and even more high resolution on some of these spots. But I don't know. Who knows? Maybe that would be sacrilege. Anyway, guys, this is, I don't know what kind of content I make. You know who one of my favorite YouTubers is? Nick Robinson. And it's probably because I saw about 7 or 8 Nick Robinson videos before I even realized I was watching Nick Robinson videos. I saw probably one of the old ones about Driver, and then the newer one about Driver, and then like probably the Hatsune Miku was when I finally realized, wait, I know this guy. Wait, he did that the Burn Down House tour? Wait. And it was just like, wow, that's awesome. Sometimes a lack of a style is a style, maybe. Or it's not.